Have you ever read a book where you were stuck between either really loving the story or despising it with your entire being? And if so, share what it is in the comments because I need to know that I'm not alone. Currently, I'm reading the book House of Beating Wings by Olivia Wildenstein. I'm really bad at summarizing books, but the most important thing is that there's a young woman who is half fae, half human, but she has no magical powers, and is tricked into completing a scavenger hunt type quest to bring back somebody to life. Fallon, who is the main character, has a lot of spunk, but is very juvenile in my opinion for someone who is about 21 to 22 years old. Which if done right, like I saw in Trial of the Sun Queen, is not a bad character design. However, the problem that I have with Fallon is that not only is she juvenile, she's also very gullible and she lets her emotions rule her without truly thinking anything through. And don't get me started on the prophet that is in this fucking book that acts as a plot hole in my opinion. I honestly believe that I could get over Fallon's juvenile behavior if the prophet was written differently. Because you can tell from the jump that the prophet is not someone that Fallon should trust, and yet she does without question, and it's very fucking frustrating. And don't get me wrong, I understand that the prophet is a plot driver, I just don't enjoy the way that she is written. And then there's the fact that Fallon will trust people even when all of her friends and people in her life say, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Like the prince, which you can tell from like their second to third meeting that he is probably not the best person for her to be around at all. And then he basically forces himself on her because she has no idea what's going on and he doesn't care to check in to make sure she's okay. And despite that, she still thinks he's a fucking god, and I'm like, no, honey, he is a terrible person. Why do you trust him? And like I said, I do really love and despise this book. There are some good moments. I do enjoy the plot itself. I do love the other characters that Fallon is friends with and her found parents, even though they're technically not her biological ones. And I do love the fact that the Fae and Crow are teaching each other how to speak their languages. Because sometimes there are stories where the character instantly knows what they're talking about just because they are partially related or have some kind of affiliation. So I do really enjoy that portion. It's just that fucking prophet and Fallon's really juvenile behavior. If those two things could just slightly change, I think I'd enjoy the story a little bit more. But who knows, maybe this is just me nitpicking because I have been reading a lot of crazy stories lately. But let me know, what stories have you read that really just drove you insane or you couldn't decide if you liked it or hated it as well? And be sure to let me know what myths I should be working on and what kind of stickers I should be turning into next.